Hey y'all, how is everybody doing? I'm so happy you're here today. Welcome to my podcast, Just Jodee plus one. I'm so glad you're here today. Today, I have the honor of interviewing one of my friends and sprinting buddies, JC Carpenter. I am super excited to dive into her stories and her poetry and all of the wonderful things she's doing for our community. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring her on and add her to the stage. Everybody, welcome JC. Hey,
Hi.
how are you, my friend?
I'm nervous, but I'm good.
Nervous but good. That's fine. That's fine. It's just us. Just us. Don't
Okay.
think about everybody else.
Gotcha.
I am just going to dive right in. We're going to start talking about your feature books. We're just going to do a deep dive into each one of them and just look at them.
Oh boy.
So, in The Diary, A Succession of Lies, Carly inherits her mother's diary and a host of dark secrets. How did you craft that pivotal moment of discovery, and what did it mean to you personally?
Ooh, okay. So that's a tough question because it's it's loosely based on some truth.
Okay.
Oh, but I just kind of turn some things around a little bit.
Mhm.
Um I, I just wanted to explore hmm, the notion of okay, someone committing something that you would consider unforgivable, but it being the whole reason that you exist. Like and how you forget
Um,
and how you forgive someone you thought you knew so well and then come to find out they did this thing that normally you wouldn't forgive if it was someone else, but it's your mother. And I'm not explaining this well, but but
you're doing great. You're doing great.
but yeah, I just wanted to kind of explore those balances, and I wanted to explore a mother-daughter relationship that was close because I didn't have one that was close with my mom. So I kind of like to dabble in that because I imagine that that's what that closeness would feel like, and then the betrayal on top of that just kind of makes her examine what she thought she had.
Okay, I gotcha. All right. I I am I'm always I love the family aspects of books. I haven't written one yet, but they are my favorite to read. I really enjoy them. All right, now let's talk about The Weight of Her.
Okay.
Forgiveness is a central theme in Brianna's story. What was your process in exploring how someone builds a life around lies and whether it can be dismantled by truth and healing?
Mm. Um. Again, nothing. Okay, I'll preface this by saying nothing in the weight of her happened truthfully, but the aspect that rings true for me is the animosity that she feels towards her mother for all of the things that her mother put her through in her childhood that she couldn't forgive, and
Mhm.
that I can understand because again,
Right.
I don't have a good relationship with my mother, um, and I kind of wanted to, like everyone always tells you, you got to forgive, you got to forgive. This is your mom. This is the person that gave you life. But I'm like, do you have to forgive? And then what extreme scenario would make you actually be like, okay, wait, let me just forgive and understand that this person, they had a childhood too. They had things that they couldn't escape, and maybe
Right.
they couldn't help how they were and
Right.
how they raised you, and just kind of exploring that balance of forgiveness and love, and then how that forgiveness can help you heal yourself.
I like that. I like that. All right, now let's get into some of your poetry. The Art of Love. Your poetry dives into the many facets of love. Did writing this collection change your own understanding or experience of love? And if so, how or how not?
Um, I don't know if it changed anything. It just helped me process some things I was trying to discover within myself. I've had a lot of heartbreak, a lot of
Mhm.
um, bad relationships. Uh, so I was processing, and in the end, like when I got to the If I Knew Then collection, that was
Mhm.
more of a me trying to discover how to love myself, because no one ever really taught me how to love myself. I had to
Right.
teach myself how to love myself. And
Mhm.
so through these bad relationships that I had, writing The Art of Love and To Love with Sorrow, it was kind of me teaching myself that I'm the most important. Like, I'm the person that I have to love. If no one's gonna love me if I don't love me.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
If I knew then. Now, this collection seems self rooted in self discovery and letting go. Was there a specific insight or moment that galvanized this theme while you were writing?
Just like I said, trying to discover the whole aspect of no one, like, how do I put this? Going through so many years of trying to get people to like me, to love me the way that I was, but not loving myself. So realizing that, well, if I don't
Right.
love me, how are they gonna love me? I have to be
Exactly.
comfortable with who I am and understand that everyone's not gonna like you, everyone's not gonna
Right.
love you, and that's okay, because you're not for everybody. And so that kind of coming to that understanding was kind of
Yeah.
what spurred that collection.
That's kind of my tagline about being everybody. I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
I love that too. But
Mm. Last book question. To love with sorrow. Poetry can convey complex sorrows in a nuanced way. So, how did you use poetic structure or imaginary to balance love and grief in this collection?
is it bad to say I do not have an answer? I don't have
No.
one.
Sometimes when you're writing, things just happens. It just flows, and
Yeah,
that's just what happens.
I think it was more of a hmm. To Love with Sorrow was more about me giving up on trying to make people love me the way they wanted me to be. That was kind of, it wasn't about any one person specifically. I mean, there were
Mhm.
some poems in there that were about a specific person,
Mhm.
but the collection overall wasn't about any one person specific. It was more about the idea of trying to, letting go of the idea of trying to get people to accept me for what they wanted me to be, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, just grieving that old person that was the people pleaser,
Right.
and becoming the person that's just accepting of who I am, and hopefully other people can accept you too.
And not, yeah, and not always say, yeah. It's very important that no is a complete sentence.
Exactly. I wish I had learned that in my younger years.
So let's talk about your creative origins and finding your voice. When did you first realize writing was your passion?
I was six,
You were
6 years old.
6.
I was watching an episode of Reading Rainbow, and they were talking about writing.
Lamar.
Yes, they were talking about writing and telling stories and how you get your stories out and communicate your passions or whatever through words, and they showed this episode one day where they actually showed the process of publishing a book, the printing press, the binding, and everything. And I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do.
That's what I'm going to
I'm
do.
yes,
6 years
gonna
old. That is awesome. I love that so much. What was the first piece that you ever wrote that made you feel like a real writer?
okay. I was six. after
I
I saw
love
after I saw that episode,
that. Mhm.
I okay, it was a little picture book, so I know it doesn't count, but it was
It
a picture book
does.
that I wrote, and I made like about 10 pages and drawing, terrible drawing by the way, but I wrote story on each page, and then I punched holes in the side, and I bound it together with some string, and then I gave it to my best friend at the time in 6th grade. She still has it. So I gave it to her as a present. So I don't have it, but she has it. And
That's
so
sweet.
and I was like, I'm a writer now.
I love that so much. That's so awesome. I don't think that I would have the gumption to be brave enough to say I was. When I was little, it was always, I'm going to be a writer. I'm going to be a writer. Even if I was actively writing something,
Mhm.
I was like, I'm going to be a writer. And it took me a really long time. Like, even after I published my first books, it was like, it was very hard. Like, what do you do for a living? What are you? And I'm like, it was really hard for me to say I'm an author.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
As
so
a-
hard. So that's so cool that you were right, that you loved that when you were little. What role does vulnerability play in the creative process to you?
um, everything. It's excuse me. My writing is where I'm most vulnerable. Is where I can most be myself. Is expressing myself through words. I always tell people if you really want to know me, read my poetry because
Mhm.
that's me. Like that's me personally. It's why I think
Mhm.
it's harder to feel like getting rejection for my poetry stings a little more than getting rejection for my novels because
Mhm.
my poetry is me. Like that's
Right.
all of what I'm feeling. And so to reject my poetry is like you're rejecting me.
So
So
that's me. Um, let's move on to themes and crafts across all your works. Okay. You write across generations, from mothers and daughters to individuals and introspection. So,
mhm.
what draws you to those different viewpoints?
I just always like to play with family dynamics and the intricacies of family relationships and bonds and strong ones and weak ones. And
Mhm.
I just kind of like to play with those themes. I always found watching family dynamics
Mhm.
interesting and entertaining and reading about them. So I just kind of leaned into that. And people seem to like it.
Yeah, yeah. Transformation plays a huge role in your work. How do you explore it in both your characters and your own process?
Oh, I don't know how to. I mean, I think when you say transformation, you mean like the growth, right? The
Right, right. The growth.
I guess because I feel like if a character is the same way when you start the story as
Yeah.
when you finish it, then
Hmm.
you haven't done a good job of transforming them. So
Right.
I
Hmm.
try to make sure that there's some growth, there's learning that happens, that they're not the
Hmm.
same person when I started writing them as
Hmm.
they are when I finish.
Hmm.
Um, what was the second part of the question? Or was that
Just
it?
when you're that when you're creating the arcs of your characters, though, are so natural when you're reading them. That you don't see, like, with other writers and other things, sometimes it's kind of chunky and they may jump from here to there really fast.
Oh, okay.
Your characters are like a really smooth transition of growth. So the question is really like, how do you pull that process out of yourself, or is it just natural?
I think it's just natural. I don't know that I do anything specific. It
Hmm.
could also be that both novels I feel kind of personal too because of the nature of the topic and
Okay.
my personal um the whole forget the mother daughter thing.
Yeah.
Like it's personal to me, and I'm
Okay.
finding myself growing through that process too. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's why it feels natural. Um,
Okay. It feels just really smooth. So,
yeah.
how does your approach shift? Okay, when you're writing a novel versus when you're writing a poetry collection.
Um, huh. Poetry for is usually when I write poetry. I don't write poetry consistently. Sad to say,
Mhm.
um, it's usually when I'm feeling a certain type of mood. If I'm feeling down, and I'm feeling like I have a whole bunch of emotions that
Right.
I've been bottling up,
Uh-huh.
and there'll be a moment where I just need to get all of it out. And so I get it out through poetry, and it's kind of the only way I feel I can express myself honest.
Okay.
Not to say that I'm not being honest when I talk to people, but sometimes you feel like people don't want to hear your woes and don't want to hear all the intricate details of why you might be feeling depressed. So I feel like
Right.
through poetry, I can express that more clearly.
Hmm.
And as far as putting the collections together, I mean, I don't. Huh, I do not know how to explain.
That's okay. That's okay. Sometimes you, to me, sound very much like an intuitive writer,
Mhm.
where you just, it's not like you do a lot of plotting and planning and all that. It's just, and you write intuitively and emotionally and what you feel from within. And because you're doing it that way, I feel like as you write in your poetry, yeah, it may start off down here because this is where we're sad, but
Yeah.
then it raises. And I think that's where all of that kind of plays into, because I feel like you're just a really intuitive and spiritually inside yourself. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's what
I
it
do.
felt
I
like.
do plan for my novels, though. I plan a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, I know. I see behind you. What you have behind you, I have over there. I see your plotting wall. I see you. I see you. All right, so let's talk about creative process and challenges. How do you stay creatively motivated during like a tough season? Like you just feel like, "Ugh, I'm down.
um,
What do I do?" How do you stay motivated to write?
I. hmm, Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes if I'm not feeling the writing at the moment, I'll just read a lot because I do believe that in order to be a good writer, you have to be a avid reader.
Yes.
I never understand people who say they don't read but they write because
Hmm.
to me the two kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if I'm not feeling motivated to write, then I'll read a lot, or I'll read craft books
Hmm.
that sometimes get me motivated. I'll watch a lot of other writers writing, which doesn't sound like it would motivate you, but it does.
Yeah.
In fact, the whole reason I had a huge writing slump before I joined Author 2 community. And
Hmm.
when I found the Author 2 community is when that pulled me out of that slump,
Yep.
was coming into a community of writers and seeing other people write. I don't think I've had a slump like that since, so that's good.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, but I also, I watch TV and movies that also motivate me creatively. I know some people don't like to watch a lot of TV and movies, but I feel like that's a part of the creative medium.
Right.
So I watch that to stay motivated and get inspire me. And yeah, just
I
any
like that.
any
What?
mode of
I'm sorry.
creativity. I'm sorry, any mode of creativity I can dabble in. It doesn't always have to be writing, but that doesn't
Hmm.
mean it won't motivate the writing.
Yeah, it's like you refill your well
Yes.
and then you're ready to go. What advice would you give to a young writer trying to find their voice?
Read a lot. I mean, I know it sounds like that's not exactly helping me write, but reading helps you because in reading you'll read a lot of writers who might not have a voice that you like, but it's good to know what doesn't work for you as well as what does work for you.
Hmm.
And um, practice because I think a lot of people um, get bogged down by trying to make a perfect draft, and there's no such thing.
There's no
Um,
such thing.
so it can be messy, but messy
Mhm.
is still done. So
Yeah.
even if you have a messy first draft, it's finished.
Yeah.
And you'll just have to work on revising. There are some people that like the revision process better than the drafting process. I'm not one of those, but there are some people who like to revise and edit more than they like to draft. But you have
I
to
pay somebody for that.
right. Like I just want to
I'm
draft.
with you. I'm so with you.
If I could draft all the time, I would be
Yes,
great.
me too.
But yeah, practice and reading. That's
Practice some reading. All right. What has been the most difficult emotional topic to write about in your work? And did it help you grow?
forgiveness, and because I
Forgiveness.
because I still haven't really forgiven my mother, which I'm
Mm.
told you should do.
Yeah.
But then there are some people there's like, but if they're a toxic person
Right.
and they only continue to speak negativity, why should you forgive them? So it's
Right.
like, because she's my mother and she gave me life. Like,
Yeah. That's
um,
a hard one. That's a hard one. And it's something so alien to me because my mom and me are like two little peas in a pod.
I love,
And she's my little mama. I mean, I could pick her up and put her in my pocket and walk away, and nobody would know, nobody would know.
oh, that's
Um,
funny.
yeah. So, like, when I love reading stories like that, but I will admit they affect me emotionally because they make me not sad, but they do make me sad, but it's bittersweet because it makes me feel so blessed for what I do have. So it kind of goes back to what you're talking about. Even if you're reading something or a genre that you're not really your thing, it's also going to help you grow as a writer because it shows you a different path
Yeah.
and a different way that you could
Yeah.
have come from. Yeah. I love that. Oh, real quick, let's say hey to Miss Rita. Hello, hello, Miss Rita. We love you. She's always checking in on us. All right, now let's talk about your community. Let's talk about Right to Be and how you are supporting creatives. What kind of inspired you to start the Right to Be magazine? Tell me
Um,
about it.
well, because I wanted to create a magazine or a publication that spotlighted authors without making them pay for it. Um, because I don't like, I know there are some people that charge, but I don't.
Right.
Um, and because when I was trying to get author interviews or whatever, people would be like, "Oh, well, we'll interview you, but you have to pay us." And I'm like, that just seems so unfair.
Right.
And I know it's
Right.
a business, but I'm like, I
Uh,
just want to get my name out there. And so I wanted to create something that people could be interviewed and get their name out there without having to pay anything for it. Because, and I know it's bad business, but
no.
I love highlighting other authors
Yeah.
and
That's
giving
why I
them
do this.
what they deserve. Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, letting them be authentic and speak about themselves and their work without having to worry about, oh, I got to pay this.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I love that. So, what kind of voices or stories are you hoping to spotlight in your magazine?
um, I don't have any like. I mean, it's inclusive. I don't have any limitations. I mean, I don't promote anything that's like hate speech or anything like that.
Right.
That's but I haven't come across anyone trying to put
Do that.
themselves in my magazine doing that. So I haven't had any issues with having to turn anyone away or anything. So, but just anyone because I feel like all voices should be heard. It may
Yeah.
not be something that I'm familiar with, but that doesn't mean it doesn't deserve a spotlight. Like
Right.
there are some authors that they write about technical things or scientific things, and I'm like, that's not my avenue, but
Hmm.
someone will love it.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
What about you offer beta reading and proofreading services?
yes.
So, what do you enjoy most about helping others refine their work?
Um, well, as far as the proofreading, I'm kind of a bit of a grammar um grammar obsessive person. So like it drives me crazy if I see something spelled wrong or not exactly grammatically correct. So I like to help people in that area. And I see some
Hmm.
traditionally published books that I'm like, ooh, where was your proofreader? Because they didn't catch
Hmm.
that. They did not catch that. And beta reading, I like getting the first look at the story and being able to be like, oh, this doesn't work quite as well as you think it does. Oh, I wouldn't say it
Hmm.
like that, but yeah, I, I don't know. I just like being able to give someone my perspective before they put it out into the world. They don't always take my perspective, but that's
Right.
fine. I mean, that's with any beta reading or anything like that because
Yeah.
you can't always take every beta reader's feedback because everyone might say something different. So then
Hmm.
your story would be going in too many different directions.
Yeah. I like. What do you wish more indie authors knew about preparing their book before publication?
Ooh. Hmm. That's a really good question. um, I want to say that they should use their community of writers around them.
Hmm.
They're not alone. They don't have to do everything by themselves.
Yeah.
Um, use your writing friends, your critique partners. If you, I mean, if you don't have a community, maybe get into one.
Hmm.
AuthorTube is a great place.
It
um,
is. I have so many friends here now.
because writing is such a solitary thing, and people think you're indie, you're self-published, you have to do everything all by yourself. And obviously, clearly, you pay editors and whatever, so
Right.
clearly you're hiring someone. But even before you get to that stage, you can get critique and stuff on your work before you even get to that stage to see how the story is going.
Yeah.
Use your tribe.
Yeah. I like that. I like that because I feel like my circle, I call them my circle. Um, they they teach me things sometimes without even meaning to. And I think that's
Mhm.
so important with, your community of writers and who you're with. You never know what somebody's going to say that's going to make the other person go, "Oh, I
Right.
understand that now." And it's amazing to me what how much you learn just being in a good community of writers.
My my
So,
my circle of writing friends, they've taught me so much. They've
yeah,
also taught me to step out of my comfort zone, my little box that I
yeah.
like to stay in,
Mhm.
and how
Mhm.
wonderful it is outside of the box sometimes.
Mhm.
But yeah, I really couldn't do this without them.
I was telling I'll tell you this. I always tell my husband, when we first were dating a long time ago, I say, "I'm trying to think more out of the box." And he said, "Do you want me to tell you a secret?" And I said, "I would love for you to tell me a secret." He said, "There is no box.
What did I know you was gonna say
There's no box." And
that?
I was like, "There's just like safety rails I put up around
Yes,
myself, but there's no box."
guardrails, guardrails. Like I do not cross this line.
Yes, exactly.
That's how I stay safe.
Yes, exactly. It's my those baby bumper gates on the bed.
Yes.
Okay, now this has to do with personal reflections and legacy. So, which one of your characters has surprised you the most during your writing process?
Ooh, Brennan.
Brennan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Because when I started writing her, I honestly didn't think she was gonna forgive her mother. I thought she was
Okay.
gonna be a little more like me and not
And not
struggle.
forgive.
I mean, she did
Mhm.
struggle. I mean, admittedly, she struggled, but
Mhm.
she got there, and then she found this new part of herself that she had blocked off because she was holding on to all of this animosity and anger and wouldn't let it go. And when
Mhm.
she let it go, she found a new just everything opened up for her, and I kind of was surprised by that writing it. Like, oh, didn't know it was gonna go there. Okay.
I love it when the characters surprise you. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. If you could tell your younger self one thing about writing and the journey ahead, what would it be?
Whew. Um, hmm. Don't listen to your mother.
Got it.
The one who told you you would never be good at this, you would never be you're basically worthless. Yeah, that.
Mhm.
Don't
Don't
listen
listen
to
to
that.
that. Don't listen to that. How do you, at this point in your life, how do you define success as a writer today?
Hmm. Who? Why all these tough questions? Um, because I think younger me would have said New York Times bestsellers list, which I'm not on. Um, six-figure income, which I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
um, but today, I mean, I have 5 books,
Mm-hmm.
and the 2 novels that I do have, at least from what I've heard from people who've read them, they seem to really like them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I feel like that's successful. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have like 10 books yet. Um,
Yeah.
I'm halfway there.
Yeah. You're halfway there.
So I guess that's successful, and that I guess my idea of success has changed because
Yeah.
again, New York Times bestsellers was it for me. That's what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think we all want that. Who doesn't want that?
I mean, yeah, I still would
Everybody wants
love
that.
to have
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think that relying on that just as my measure of success, I don't see that as my only measure anymore. Like, you
Yeah.
know,
What if you had to choose one of your books for new readers to start with? Which one would it be and why? And then I'll turn
oh,
it over to you to promote yourself.
The Weight of Her.
The Weight
Um,
of Her.
I feel like I had, not that I didn't love the diary, but there was so much growth as a writer for me with The Weight of Her. Um, I think I don't know. I think I was more a more developed writer when I wrote that, and I'm still developing even more. So
Right.
hopefully my next book will be even better. But
Right.
I think that, and it kind of taught me something in writing that character. And yeah, that's the only answer
Mhm.
I got.
So, where just let everybody know where we can find you, where you're at, and then and if you will send me, I think I have all your links,
Mhm.
but I'm going to double check them and make sure I've got them all up in the comments. I mean, the description box below if you're on YouTube. If you are watching this on Spotify, it'll be over on the side. And if you're just listening, you're going to have to click on the description to pull all of her links. All right, go ahead.
Um, I can. Oh gosh, all my books are on Amazon, and they're available in Kindle Unlimited. I'm not a wide author yet, so they're only on Amazon.
Okay.
Uh, I have a YouTube channel with hundreds of videos that you can take the journey of writing with me. Um, I have a blog called the Right to Be blog where I kind of share some personal reflections every so often. There's the Right to Be magazine where I spotlight authors. So if you're interested in doing an author interview, you can email me. I also have an online store with writing merch called Right to Be
Ooh,
Matters, that has a lot of things promoting self care and a lot of writerly things.
I'm
What
going to
else?
check that
I feel like I have something else I don't know. Oh, beta reading and proofreading services. I'm on Fiverr, and I have a Ko-fi commissions page.
out. Okay.
Um, I think that's it. And
Yeah.
I stream on YouTube, writing sprints every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay. So that would be 6 p.m. my time
Yeah.
because I'm central, right? Right.
Okay.
I had the hardest time with that when I moved here. When I had changed time zones, I was so confused. Oh my goodness. But yeah, JC, thank you so much for being my guest today. I really appreciate it, and I had so much fun. I
Thank you for
hope all
having
my
me.
oh, you're welcome. I hope everybody enjoyed listening to us cackle and laugh together. But if you are one of my viewers and one of my longtime whiskeys, you know what I'm going to say before I say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I'm a particular group of people's double shot of whiskey. And I'm so happy and I'm so proud that you guys came today and that you found us just right. We love you. We will see you next time. Bye. See you later, guys.